When I ask people why they join this congregation, the answer I hear most often is not theology, not worship style, and not even the rabbi. The answer is almost always the same: community. I really sort of have to be honest, these guys help, don't they? People tell me they were looking for a place where they would be known, where they could belong, where they could show up, not just as individuals, but as part of something larger than themselves. And that instinct is not incidental. It goes to the heart of what Judaism understands about how human beings grow, heal, and find meaning. The rabbis never imagined Judaism as a solitary spiritual path. Believe me, I know I practiced Judaism as a bachelor for quite a few years, and it is not easy. From the very beginning, Jewish life is structured around shared responsibility and collective presence. The Torah is not given to Moses alone in a private revelation. It's given to an assembled people standing together at Sinai. Revelation itself is communal. Even the covenant is plural. We do not say, I will do and I will hear. We say, na'aseh v'nishmat, we will do and we will hear. And the rabbis make this communal vision concrete in law. One of the clearest examples is the requirement for minyan. Certain prayers like Kaddish, Kedusha, Baruch, the reading of the Torah, cannot be recited alone. The source of this requirement appears in the Talmud, where the rabbis derive the need for a quorum of 10 from the biblical verses sanctifying God's name among the people. Holiness, the rabbis teach, does not emerge in isolation. It's generated when human beings stand together and speak sacred words aloud in one another's presence. The same idea appears in the laws governing where Jews shall live. The Mishnah assumes that Jewish life is organized around a synagogue, and later sources developed this idea that one should live close enough to the synagogue to walk there on Shabbat. We have obviously changed our minds about that idea, and one should be able to drive there. That's one of the reasons why people choose a temple. This is not simply about convenience, it's about shaping daily life encounters. Jewish time and Jewish space are designed to pull us out of private isolation into shared rhythm. And this rabbinic emphasis on community feels especially striking when we consider the broader American context. Sociologists have been telling us this for decades, that communal life in this country is eroding. Robert Putnam famously described this trend in Bowling Alone, noting that people do continue to bowl. Well, not a lot of people bowl, but very rarely in leagues. We do things side by side without forming lasting bonds. And as I said, this book's a few decades old, and we could safely say that a lot of people no longer bowl, and that bowling alleys have closed across the country, but it still makes its point. And there is, I know, a really serious bowler in the room, so please don't take that as an insult. This is not simply a matter of pastime falling out of fashion. It exemplifies a larger tendency to no longer affiliate with anything. Religious life has not been immune to this trend. Many institutions struggle with declining participation and weakened communal ties, and that's not the case here, and we're fortunate. And yet synagogues, especially those that take community seriously, do resist this tendency. A synagogue insists that you arrive not only when it's convenient, not only when you feel inspired, but when others need you. You come to celebrate joys you did not personally experience and to mourn losses that are not your own. You say amen to prayers you did not compose. You sit beside people who vote differently, think differently, live differently, and you still call them a community. And at New Reform Temple, this vision is not abstract. It's lived across generations. One of the real strengths of this congregation is children's, teens, parents, and elders do not inhabit separate religious worlds. They share space. I love this at the service on Sunday morning at religious school at the end, where there often are 3 generations there. And it's just a really beautiful thing to say. I mean, that is a very unique thing that a synagogue can do. They learn from one another, they see one another. Wisdom does not belong to any one age group, it flows across generations. The Talmud reinforces this, teaching that parents are obligated not only to teach their children Torah, but also to model a Jewish life. Education happens in relationship. Tradition survives because it's transmitted through living communities, not just in textbooks. When a child sees an adult wrestling with meaning and taking responsibility for the world, Judaism becomes real. The traditional study of Jewish texts is not done alone. I mean, we have Torah study on Saturday morning, and that's a real group. But in the traditional rabbinic academy, you study in chavrusa, you study in pairs. The basic idea is that one cannot really arrive at any sort of personal meaning without having a conversation with someone else. Community, however, is not only about internal support, it's also about outward responsibility. The rabbis insist that a Jewish community is judged by how it cares for those beyond its walls. Again, the Talmud, lots of Talmud. I have a PhD in Talmud. I'm sorry for all the Talmud. Again, in the Talmud, we learn that charity is not optional, generosity, but a communal obligation. Funds are collected and distributed publicly in the rabbinic period in late antiquity, so that no one bears the burden alone. Poverty, hunger, and vulnerability are not private failures, they're communal responsibilities. And this teaching speaks powerfully to our moment and to our city. Kansas City is a place of deep generosity and also deep inequality. And when we organize ourselves as a community, we amplify our ability to repair what's broken. Our congregation's growing commitment to service, most recently embodied in the formation of a community service committee, stands firmly within this rabbinic tradition. We're not engaging in charity as an extracurricular activity. It's not charity tourism. We're living out the Torah's insistence that holiness must be translated into action. So finally, the rabbis recognize that meaning is difficult. Even though we're here trying, meaning is a difficult thing to find, but it's almost impossible to find alone. So the reality is that learning about Judaism is not a solitary process, and this ensures that we learn other opinions on matters that are important to us. So this applies in other regions as well. Questions of purpose, grief, faith, and doubt are not meant to be carried in isolation. One does not grieve alone. One does not celebrate alone. We support each other and we share. I'm not sir. I was trying to find a conclusion to this sermon, and I have to admit that I didn't really find one. How do you end this? I mean, this is what it's all about, so there's no grand conclusion to really be made other than community is important. Community is built slowly and imperfectly, but the rabbis offer us a guiding principle in the aphorism, Kol Yisrael Aravim Zeh B'Zeh. All of Israel, and it means not the Jewish state, but the Jewish people, are responsible for one another. In simple terms, none of us is alone. So when people say they join this temple for the community, they're naming something deeply Jewish and deeply human. They're saying, I do not want to walk alone. Judaism agrees, and it always has. Shabbat Shalom.